Jim Henderson's Black and Gold Rewind is sponsored by Nissan.
Fleener and Josh Hall to the left side. Gonna pitch it to Kamara. It's all on him, and he's in. Alvin Kamara runs for the pylon left side and dances into the end zone. What a rookie the Saints have found in this guy.
Alvin Kamara's two-point conversion there tied up the game and sent it into overtime, where the Saints would go on to beat Washington with that Will Lutz field goal. The voice of the Saints, Jim Henderson, joins us by telephone now with his Black and Gold Rewind. Have you recovered from this?
Barely. I'm still recovering, and I think everybody who saw that game feels the same way. I mean, the adrenaline rush that was around the Mercedes-Benz Superdome at the conclusion of that one is going to linger for a long time.
I mean, let's face it, they were outplayed, certainly for most of the game. So the old cliche is that good teams find a way to win. What do you think?
That's exactly true. They were outplayed, and I think they would admit that and probably did afterwards. The Redskins really came to play, outplayed the Saints, certainly through the first half. Saints couldn't get any pressure on Cousins. He wasn't touched. Drew Brees, I think, was hit 8 times and sacked once, and it really looked like the Redskins game. When you look at the scoreboard, the Saints never led until the final play of the game.
Boy, that's an amazing statistic. There are some injury concerns, you were telling me, Jim?
Yeah, John, I just saw a report that Alex Okafor, the Saints defensive end, has torn his Achilles. And, of course, that would place him out for the season, unconfirmed as yet. But if that's the case, that's a big loss. He had 4.5 sacks since coming over from Arizona as a free agent in the offseason. Had done a terrific job in the running game. That's a concern, certainly his loss, but also Marshawn Lattimore. How serious is his ankle injury? When will A.J. Klein be back? How about Kenny Vaccaro? So injuries have hit that side of the ball, and that's going to be problematical for the Saints. They played so well. They'd only given up an average of 12.3 points per game over the last 4 games, but gave up 31 yesterday to the Redskins.
Yeah, what do you think happened on defense?
Well, the communication problems certainly seem to be the main key. These bunch formations that the Redskins were using is something that the Saints had trouble covering early in the season in their first 2 losses. And, you know, without Lattimore, that puts a lot of stress on guys that don't play all that much, like P.J. Williams, Devontae Harris, and the communication problems left guys wide open for a couple of touchdowns, and that just can't happen.
Is that the kind of thing that other teams go to school on, or is it obvious and the Saints will just try to fix it? I mean, there's a lot of stuff inside football that we just don't, get as ordinary fans, or I certainly don't.
Well, I think, it's a copycat league, and until you stop something, teams are going to run that at you. So I think that's one reason why Lattimore's comeback to the team would certainly be helpful in many ways, because he almost takes away one half of the field defensively. People just don't throw at him, and so that puts a lot more stress on the other half. And when you've got an opportunity to throw at somebody that's replacing Lattimore along with the other half of the field, it's going to be difficult.
A big difference. All right, buddy, my final question is simply, where would you rate this? You've obviously called a Super Bowl, you've called an NFC championship, the comeback game. Where does this game rate among the memorable games in your time as the play-by-play guy?
Well, when you think about comebacks, I think this has to be the best. It's the first time in Saints history and NFL history, I think, for the Saints that they have come back from a 15-point deficit with less than 6 minutes to play. They've never done that before. In fact, I think it's one of the best comebacks, if not the best comeback in NFL history for any team. So the way that they had been outplayed in that game, the way that they fought back, the fact that they never led until, again, the final play of the game, the field goal by Lutz, I'd rank this one at the very top when it comes to comebacks.
Crazy. All right, Jim Henderson, thanks as always. Appreciate it. You can get more of Jim's thoughts on the Saints today on Fox 8, his commentary at 5 o'clock, and then the Black and Gold Review tonight at 10:35. Right now, it's coming up on 8.
Anyway,
that says a lot.
What happened this weekend?
Did anything happen? Kim left the Saints game at halftime.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was there to the bitter end.
No, she has to. This is superstition. This is this year thing, right? It works.
I'm gonna kill you.
Are you? That's all right.
Yes.
No, because every game that she leaves, the Saints win. So literally her section was like, get out of here. Didn't they tell you to leave at halftime?
Yeah.
They said leave.
My friends tell me, just go, get out.
I stuck it out.
Good for you.
So I try to get people to stay around.
Guess who else?
Bailing left and right.
No, she did watch it. No, she watches it. She's doing this for all Saints fans. Yes. Jim stuck it out too. He didn't leave the game early.
Oh, hey, Jim.
Right?
I wonder if anybody would have noticed if I had. That's the problem.
We would have, Jim.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. It was half a century ago that a Vietnam protest song made that observation. It's 50 years since then. It's 7 years since the Saints won the Super Bowl. But the same feeling grows as you had in 2009. There's something happening here. There are just too many similarities to that magical season to ignore. The challenge for Sean Payton and Drew Brees is to suppress that comparison while everyone who roots for this team embraces it, falling more in love with the notion with every victory. Payton, Brees, Morstead, Daniels, Streif, that's about all who are still around from Super Bowl 44. So it's not like you have to convince nearly everyone on the roster that destiny doesn't necessarily ride again for the black and gold. But it has to be impossible for those five not to find analogies between the two seasons. Catching teams at the right time, overpowering some opponents, as the Saints did last week, overcoming them with improbable comebacks, as they did yesterday. After the 7-2 Rams crashed to earth yesterday in a one-sided loss to the Vikings, their veteran tackle Andrew Whitworth said, "We needed adversity." After the 7-2 Saints continued to soar by overcoming the Redskins, they said pretty much the same thing. Maybe they needed adversity too, and yesterday they got it, but in victory, as improbable a victory as the Saints have ever scored. At one point in yesterday's game, the Saints' win probability was less than 1%. As a franchise, when the Saints trailed by 14 or more in the fourth quarter, they were 0-233-1. For what it's worth, there's something happening here. Now to keep it going in Los Angeles, where the Rams are slightly favored.
Rams are slightly favored.
By a little bit less than a field goal.
Okay.
Right now.
Whatever.
We can get healthy on defense.
That's the big question, isn't it? Got to get healthy on defense. They lost some good players yesterday. That Okafor injury really hurts. These other guys, hopefully, will be back. But Okafor was really having a terrific year. You know, he was tremendous against the run, which I don't think anybody really expected. And he was having his career-high year in sacks. Great compliment to Cam Jordan, so he'll be missed.
And you think Kim should continue to leave games early as long as they win, right?
I think she should probably leave her house at halftime.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a good idea.
Even if she's watching it.
Yeah.
I could try that.
Well, she has to keep watching the games, though.
Oh, I would never not watch.
For the half, at least.
She's taking one for the team. Thanks, Jim. Jim returns tonight to answer your questions about the Saints. Use our Final Play app to submit a question. You'll get answers during Jim's Black and Gold review that airs right after Fox 8 News at 10.
Jim Henderson's Black and Gold Review is sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealer, built Ford tough. And 2017 Nissan Titan, with America's best bumper-to-bumper limited truck warranty, Nissan Titan. Take on any job. And Slidell Memorial Hospital, in partnership with Oshner.
Here's Brees, well protected, going to throw, and it's bobbled, but then caught by Kamara, and he goes into the end zone. Morstead puts it down. Lutz has it on its way. And an epic comeback by the Saints results in their 8th straight victory.
And to quote singer Angela Bell, I believe these Saints, they can't lose. Welcome in alongside the voice of the Saints, Jim Henderson. I'm Juan Kincaid. All of this winning is getting old, said no one.
Really the same old Saints. And isn't that wonderful?
Yes, it's nice.
Great.
Finally, 8-game win streak. Get you to the headlines, because that's what the show's all about. Headline number 1, Drew Brees stepping up.
You know, they really haven't had to have Drew win a game for them this year in the course of this winning streak. They had to have him win yesterday, and when he had to step up, he was flawless. How about those final 2 drives of regulation? 11 of 11 through the air for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is his 37th career game-winning drive in the fourth quarter or overtime, and that was vintage Drew Brees right there.
If he keeps it up, Jim, he might be a pretty good football player. Headline number 2, special teams does just enough. Just enough.
Again, we'd spoken about this earlier, too. The special teams really hadn't have to win a game. They did with the Will Lutz field goal, obviously, but also maybe they finally found a returner of both punts and kickoffs in Tommy Lee Lewis. He contributed to help set up the game winner and did a lot for the team, and the special teams, you know, they got a new coach, and apart from having the fake punt run against them, they were pretty flawless, too.
I wonder what the new special teams coach saw that calls for a change for bringing in Tommy Lee Lewis and maybe taking some of the pressure off Ted Ginn?
I think probably seeing Ted Ginn drop the ball a lot, and Willie Snead and other people like him. So I think that was probably the impetus for change. But that's been one of the things. And there you see him, Mike Westhoff right there, the curmudgeonly old coach that they brought out of retirement, looking pretty pleased, isn't he?
He looks a little bit younger than you, Jim.
He might be. Everybody is these days.
Headline number 3, the injury bug. Though this is serious stuff. The injury bug bites this team again.
Well, that really hurts Alex Okafor being out with the torn Achilles. Happened in the fourth quarter. He had 4.5 sacks. You'll see the injury coming up here. It really didn't look that severe, just kind of took a misstep, but it doesn't really, you really don't have to do a whole lot from what I understand, and you would know. You've torn yours. I think Monte Teo tore his when he was a Charger, just taking a misstep as well. So it's a very fragile area, obviously, of your leg, and he's going to be missed. 4.5 sacks. Did a great job in the run game. I think he was a far better run defender than anybody thought he would be coming in. They thought he was going to be brought in mostly just to complement Cam Jordan in the pass rush game, but he's been far more than that.
You're right about that, and what this tells me is that great athletes have the same injury. Headline number 4, Peyton. Oh, Jim, he's pushing the right buttons.
Yeah, you know, he now has the 3 biggest comebacks in Saints history. Yesterday, bringing in Robert Meacham to lead the Who Dat chant, of course, evoking memories of 2009 when he stole the ball against the Redskins, and that was a big play in the road to the Super Bowl. He did the same thing yesterday in bringing back Robert Meacham. It paid off. Remember when he brought back Steve Gleason prior to the Falcon game, and Michael Maudie blocked the punt. So he's pressing all the right buttons again this year, and now his task will be to bring this team back down to earth, as he tried to do with the whole cheese and mousetrap thing again Sunday, because they're getting so much praise. They're playing so well. Everybody regards them as the hottest team outside of Philadelphia in the NFL. Now he's got to suppress everything as best as he can, but it's difficult to do right now.
The best thing is not a lot of players on this team were on that 2009 team, so maybe that helps a little bit?
Yeah, I think you're probably only 5 of them, including Sean himself. Yeah, I think it does. Certainly Drew Brees remembers, and Zach Streif. We also had Morstead was on that team. So a few guys were there, Chase Daniel as well, along with the head coach. So they remember what it was like in 2009, and hopefully they probably learned something from that road to the Super Bowl as well during the course of that 13-game winning streak.
Maybe enough guys to remind them on what it's still going to take to get there. Let's get to headline number 5, tight roping the 2009 line. Now, this is a headline that the team has stopped avoiding talking about.
You know, I hate to compare teams, and so I'm not going to go there quite yet. Obviously, that was a special team, and, you know, that team went on and won a world championship and won 13 in a row and did some amazing things.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, but that's a game, though, that, look, that you think about in comparison. What Robert did, you know, ironically, he was here today, so, but I think that's for later.
I think the sky's the limit for this group. You know, we're playing with a ton of confidence. You know, feel like we got a ton of momentum. You win games like this, and you feel like, man, we can win anywhere, anytime, any way. So that's a good thing.
It's just crazy, Jim. Robert Meacham's in the building. This team scores and comes back and wins the game. But it was the first time I really seen Sean Payton this year kind of compare that 09 season to what he's seeing right now. There are a lot of comparisons.
Yeah, there are, and you just can't avoid them after a while. And again, he's tight roping the line of, you know, not saying too many good things about this team and getting them too big-headed, but also knowing that he's got some veteran leadership like number 9 who can bring them back down to earth and put things in perspective. But it's just hard to ignore in the course of an 8-game winning streak, how they've won and the acclaim that they've gotten. You just can't ignore it fully.
I wonder how much he goes back into the office after a win like this and goes, man, we've got ourselves a really good team, something special going on here.
I think probably in the coaches' meeting they say things like that. He won't say it for publication. He probably won't say it directly to his team, but he has to be thinking that.
No doubt about that. All right, coming up, Sean Vazant's film study shows us the subtle master strokes that Drew Brees put on Washington's defense in crunch time. Stay with us.
You're watching the Jim Henderson Black and Gold Review.
Gonna pitch it to Kamara. It's all on him, and he's in. Alvin Kamara runs for the pylon left side and dances into the end zone. What a rookie the Saints have found in this guy.
He brought some ribs to the offensive line. He better bring Josh Hill something. It's like, what a great block by him. Welcome back in. We've had our fun with why this team is on an 8-game win streak. We're bringing in this guy, Sean Vazant, to add some intelligence to the show and some style.
It's about time, really.
Time to carry you guys once again, I see. I got to carry you guys again, huh? We know the stats to close out the game. Drew Brees down 15, went 11 for 11 with 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. What got me curious was, how did this happen given how stymied the offense was throughout most of the game? The answer, Brees simply elevated his play and showed why he's still one of the best in the business.
You heard color analyst Troy Aikman say during the broadcast in the final 6 minutes that Brees has the ability to move defenders with his eyes. He did this on 3 occasions for 3 big completions. The first came on Brees' throw to Coby Fleener. As he drops back to pass, he's looking to his left the entire time. This forces DJ Swearinger, who already picked off Brees once Sunday, to shade over to that side of the field, which creates just the crease Brees needs to complete the connection to Fleener for a huge 24-yard gain. Next up, the touchdown pass to Josh Hill, which was almost comical. On the snap, Brees looks right to Alvin Kamara. Watch Zach Brown and D'Angelo Hall both run towards Kamara and leave Hill wide open in the end zone for the much-needed touchdown. It happened again on the next drive. Watch Brees subtly look down to Fleener, then back towards the middle to connect with Ted Ginn Jr. on the deep cross for an 18-yard gain. Watch the replay. Keep your eye on 53. When Brees looks down to Fleener, 53 moves down, but then stumbles trying to recover once he realizes Brees is going back across the middle to Ginn. Brees also handled their pass rush with perfection. At times he hung in and took a hit, other times he escaped. On 2nd and 12, Brees waited to the last possible second to hit his check down to Kamara as he is being hit. Kamara gained 10 and, more importantly, got out of bounds to stop the clock. Later, Brees was blitzed from his left. Immediately, he recognized it, sprinted to his right to escape, and located Fleener, who was being covered by Ryan Kerrigan. Advantage Fleener, who took the pass and turned the corner and gained 29 yards to help set up the game-tying touchdown. Of course, the Saints still needed a 2-point conversion to tie the game. Kamara rightly deserves credit for scoring. Hill deserves credit for the block on the edge. But Brees made the play work with his ball handling. The play fake to Fleener on the jet sweep got Kamara to the edge. Watch the replay. Number 94, Preston Smith, has outside containment, but he bites hard on the fake. That false step provided all the daylight Kamara needed to get to the corner and tie the game.
Make no mistake about what happened Sunday. An elite football player elevated his game and took over. Once Brees was in the zone, it was only a matter of time. Or do they have enough time? Thankfully, they did have enough time, and Brees was able to take over. And that old number 9, he sure can play some ball.
Still got it. You know, you were talking about his eyes. He uses his eyes so well. When the Saints opened that season against the Packers, who were up there for the week, and Matt Flynn was the backup quarterback. So I was talking to him in the locker room, and I said, what have you been doing this week? He said, I've been imitating Drew Brees for the scout team. I said, how do you do that? He said, with my eyes. That's all he said, with my eyes, because he does it so well.
He manipulates those safeties, and you hear the safeties talking about it all the time. He just kind of subtly moves, and they just move enough, and it gives him just enough crease. That's all he needs. He just needs just that little bit of a crease to make a play.
I think one of the amazing things about Drew Brees yesterday is that, look, the offense, again, struggled for most of the game, but when they needed guys to catch balls, they looked for a player that no one's even thinking about the entire game in Coby Fleener. I mean, he was the most important guy on the second to last drive, Jim.
It wasn't even looked at, I don't think, in the first half, and then comes through with 5 catches for 91 yards, most catches since week 1, most yards since week 3. He only had 16 catches in the first 9 games. And you'd like to wonder, where did this come from? Is this from looking at the way the Redskins were playing Fleener or not playing him in the course of the first half? Or was this just seeing what they were giving him?
Well, and I think what happened was they're kind of in a deeper zone. Those seams were opening up a little bit. You saw Brees kind of take over with his eyes, as we said. But Fleener's an athletic player, and they just haven't really used him as much because they've been running the ball so dominant. And, you know, Hill and Hooman have been the 2 real blocking tight ends. But when he got on the field, he was given the opportunity. Fleener has this in his game. He just hasn't shown it consistently, but boy, did he show up at the right time Sunday.
Everyone sits and wonders why this team can't get a guy like a Jimmy Graham, but you're seeing Sean Payton do an amazing thing with this offense in that he's looking at the tight ends he has and saying this is the best position to put them in. If it's anybody else with Josh Hill blocking on that 2-point conversion, he may not get in. Yeah. If it's anybody else with Coby Fleener, who they haven't targeted all game, matched up against number 91 there, it may not get open. I mean, it's the way Peyton's able to use these different tight ends. It's been amazing.
Remember how Fleener ran the jet sweep? It was last year for a touchdown. The interesting thing was too, the Saints had not tried a 2-point conversion all year, so they had nothing on film to alert the Redskins. And I think, didn't Sean say afterwards that he had 3 called, and this was the one of the 3 he chose?
And look, that is a gutsy call right there, because if that doesn't work, we're criticizing that call right there. A run, a kind of a pitch out where you only have that one little lane to get to the corner of the end zone, and you had Josh Hill man-on-man, and if that end doesn't crash hard on that play fake, he may make the play there. So that's a gutsy call. Thankfully, it worked.
I think we saw why Josh Hill is on this football team on that one play right there. All right, Sean is, of course, our film study master. We say it every week, I feel like. Each Thursday night on Game Plan at 10:35, he looks back on the key plays from the previous week, and then Sunday mornings on Tailgate, he'll give you a preview of the opposition that you will not see anywhere else. And much more from Sean and Jim in just a second. Coming up, though, we answer questions, your questions, as injuries begin to take their toll. Which backups are ready to step up? And who do you see the Saints needing back ASAP? Stay with us.
You're watching the Jim Henderson Black and Gold Review.
It seems like it happens every week when the Saints win a game, as they've won 8 in a row. The questions start to pile up from our Final Play app using the Final Word feature. This one comes to us from Angie Quinzel. And Angie asked, if Lattimore misses time, can the Saints secondary still be dominant without him? Good question there, Angie.
Sean?
No. That's the one injury they will not be able to overcome. And I think you saw yesterday his ability to hold one side of the field, gives those pass rushers just an extra count to get to those quarterbacks and get those sacks. I think you saw with him out of the game, the pass rush kind of slipped a little bit. They tried to dial up the blitz. It didn't work quite as much. Kirk Cousins was pretty deadly against the blitz, sort of that last play of regulation. So Marshawn Lattimore is the one injury they cannot overcome. Hopefully he is back soon.
I totally agree, and there was a lack of communication amongst the other guys when the reserves had to be in there as well. So, yeah, they can't go without him for long. Hopefully it's not a high ankle sprain. We don't know, but something that would keep him out weeks.
And, of course, they signed Sterling Moore, so you hope that kind of is a bit of a Band-Aid on the situation, but Moore is a backup for a reason. Lattimore's been fantastic. So there's so many injuries with this football team right now, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You look at it here. Obviously, Marshawn Lattimore injured on Sunday. A.J. Klein, Kenny Vaccaro, neither one of those guys played Sunday. And out for the season, Anzalone, Bro, Fairley, and now Okafor. Sean, give us your thoughts on A.J. Klein, and what do you see with that?
Well, I think he's the next one up, other than Lattimore, because A.J. Klein is a player that kind of sets everybody up, lines everybody up. I think Manti Te'o is an adequate backup to him, but I think he is a clear upgrade. He sheds blocks better than Manti Te'o, although Manti Te'o had a great play on that 3rd and 1. You see the blitz game a little bit better when he's in the game as well. He has 41 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. I just think he's an upgrade over Manti Te'o. Look, I like Te'o. He's a decent player, but with A.J. Klein, everything's kind of set up kind of for that defense to be successful, and hopefully he's back soon, because he was playing 100% of the snaps before he got hurt. And remember, when they're in a base personnel, the opposing offense, he slides over to the strong side, and last night or yesterday he had Michael Marty, who we all love, but I think we can all agree he had a couple plays where he overran. So it's not just one position with A.J. Klein, it's 2.
Te'o is a good tackler, though. Very few missed tackles so far this season.
Good player, but I think Klein is an upgrade.
Okay, so let's look at another section. You got Alex Okafor, who obviously is gone out today with the Achilles injury. Listen, when they got this guy in the offseason back in March on a 1-year contract up to $3 million, you're thinking, okay, can we get something that's similar to when he was healthy with the Arizona Cardinals? And you've gotten that. 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 43 tackles. He's second on the team in sacks. The question is, who replaces him? Trey Henderson was the guy that came in and played 10 of 11 snaps. But is he the answer for that side? I'm not so sure. I think you've got to get a combination of Hendrickson, Kikaha, Muhammad, Onyemata. Those 4 guys, I think, as a unit, can give you what Okafor gave you this season. But again, one thing I think he did to help this football team and help Cam Jordan on the other side, he took some of that pressure off. There's no longer a need to double team Jordan on that right side. And all of a sudden, on the left side, Okafor is getting one-on-one coverage there and getting to the quarterback. I think this is a huge loss to this team, but I think they can find a way to make up for it with, I guess, a number of guys helping out there. Then, of course, you've got the whole safety situation with Kenny Vaccaro. Jim, your thoughts on that?
I'd hate to see him out for very much longer. You know, he's so important, obviously, in that 3 safety grouping that they use. He has a unique skill set to be playing close to the line of scrimmage, be physical enough to be in that role, and yet be good enough in coverage to lead the team in interceptions with 3. So I think he tested it for a while in practice last week and then had maybe a little bit of a setback. Hopefully he's close, and I know he was tweeting about that as well.
Yeah, he tweeted that he certainly sounds like he wants to get back on the field. I know he does want to get back on the field, but it all kind of goes hand in hand here because when you talk about blitzing without Okafor, you probably got to blitz a little bit more. Who's your best blitzer? Kenny Vaccaro coming off that edge. So it all kind of goes hand in hand here. So, and A.J. Klein is good at blitzing as well. So all these injuries sort of are kind of interwoven with each other. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. There's a lot of quality football players that the Saints signed to, and it's all worked. Look at the defense. I mean, it's all worked, but they got to get healthy, got to get back on the field. Hopefully, some of these guys will be back pretty soon.
Yeah, right now they've lost 3 starters off defense, not even thinking about Anzalone, who you really don't think about because he was lost so early in the season.
You know, we talk so much about this front office struggling with picking up players. This is the year in the offseason I think they got it right because you're not seeing a lot. You're seeing some drop-off, but on the whole, you're not seeing as much a drop-off as you thought you would see in years past because they've gotten players, even if it's a young player, that have been quality to fill in.
Yeah, and look, I think the number one reason why they're successful, number one, and it's not rocket science, they have better players. They have a higher quantity of quality players, quite frankly. And look, this is testing their depth a little bit, but hopefully some of these guys are coming back and they'll be in time and healthy, ready to go.
They did it right in free agency. They certainly did it right in the draft. This could be the best draft class the Saints have ever had. Out of their 7 guys, they got 5 starters, if you include Anzalone, and a 6th contributor in Hendrickson. And who knows about Al-Qadim Muhammad, what he might do down through the years. So, I mean, this is going to rival and maybe in some ways surpass 2006 that they lived off of for about 10 years.
I was going to say it only took 11 years to equal what they did in 2006 and maybe surpass that. Sean, nice job once again. We always enjoy your segment. All right, still to come, head west young Saints to Los Angeles. Will the Rams be a little less hospitable after last year's 49-21 drubbing at the hands of Sean Payton? Get your first preview. That's next.
You're watching the Jim Henderson Black and Gold Review.
Wide receiver screen to Snead. He can throw as well. It's a lateral and across the field. He hits Hightower in stride. Down to the 10. Makes a move at the 8. He will score. Touchdown.
Last time the Saints played the Rams, 49 points put up by the offense, drubbing, oh, by the way, Greg Williams' defense. Remember him? I would imagine there's some sour feelings coming from that team as they meet on Sunday.
Probably Greg Williams has some sour feelings because now he's the defensive coordinator of the Browns. Nobody wants that job. So it really helped get Jeff Fisher and therefore Greg Williams fired. I mean, that was really rubbing it in. That was the final score in a game with Willie Snead throwing a 50-yard touchdown to Tim Hightower with the Saints already up 42-21. Brees had thrown 4 touchdown passes in the game, run for 1. And it obviously was a shot in the direction of Greg Williams and also Jeff Fisher. They were on the ropes anyway, but that really pushed them over the edge.
The Rams lost 24-7 to the Vikings yesterday. They've got a tough next 5 games. Saints, Cardinals, Eagles, Seahawks, Titans. Combined record 33-16. 4 of the 5 teams have winning records, and 3 of those 5, Arizona, Seattle, Tennessee, are on the road. And they've got other issues besides who they play.
Yeah, they've got their own injury concerns coming out of yesterday's game. We don't know for how long, but in the course of it, they lost their best wide receiver in Robert Woods, who hurt his shoulder, and then they lost 3 of their top 4 defensive backs, and nickel Roby Coleman, Kayvon Webster, and Troy Hill. They really had a poor game yesterday against the Vikings. Never got to Case Keenum, no sacks. And then Tavon Austin, who's always been a big part of their game for the most part, has become the forgotten man. Didn't have a carry, was not targeted for the 3rd straight game. Goff was 23 of 37, 225 yards, but he was hit 5 times, hurried constantly. And the Vikings, in time of possession, nearly doubled up the Rams. So this is a team that was the highest scoring team in the NFL. They scored 7 points on their first possession, their first drive of the game, and never scored again.
Having to go on the road for the Saints is always going to be difficult, but in the case of L.A., where they've only got a half-filled stadium, that may be a little different?
Not exactly a home field advantage. No. The Saints will go out late Friday afternoon to get acclimated to the time zone change. I think for this week, the whole idea is how many of these Saints walking wounded come back and how long do they miss them?
And Drew Brees keeps saying the games are only going to get tougher as they go forward. So when you look at this on paper, this is the next big game they have on the schedule. I know the game they just won was huge and how they came back and won it, but winning at L.A. may send a message.
Yeah, it might. You know, you look at the Vikings now, with that victory over the Rams, they own the tiebreaker against both the Saints and the Rams, something to look for down the stretch.
All right, so we got so much more coming on this game as we go throughout the week. But until then, for this guy, Jim Henderson, and Sean, and everyone here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Thanks for watching. Our next newscast is at 4:30 in the morning. He'll be up.
Of course.
Have a great night.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been the Jim Henderson Black and Gold Review.